Welcome to Business Studies, the Art of Examinations. This is a guide to passing examinations in all levels in high school by Madenge Edward Karaoke. The art of the examinations assists the teacher and the student to gain an insight into the meaning and application of various action verbs and terms often used in testing the subject. A deliberate effort is made to use at least real questions and examples most often used in examinations per action verb or term used. Action verbs and terms are categorized and presented into groups of 5 action verbs and 5 terms, though not in the order of their relationship, but for easy understanding of the presentation thus done. Though most questions have a limit as to the expected number of responses, a deliberate effort is made to give as many responses as possible per question presented. This is to enrich the learner's variety of answers expected per question. How to pass KCSE Business Studies in Form 4. Business Studies consists of 2 papers, Paper 1 and Paper 2. And Paper 1 consists of short answer structured questions, 25 of them, mainly 4 marks each. Paper 2 consists of 6 long answer questions of 20 marks each, with a student having to choose 5 questions to give a total of 100 marks. Most Paper 1 questions test low order level in Bloom's taxonomy, that is knowledge, comprehension, and a bit of application. And most Paper 2 questions test higher order level in Bloom's taxonomy, that is application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation, or creativity. Both Paper 1 and Paper 2 questions test all business subject areas: economics, commerce, accounting, office practice, and entrepreneurship, with each taking at least 10% of each paper or the questions in whatever paper you are doing, Paper 1 or Paper 2. The syllabus consists of 31 topics or chapters, with accounting only studied in Form 3 and Form 4. The rest of the topics in all the other areas are spread all over from Form 1 to Form 4. Both papers test at least 10% in each form's work. Questions in all subject areas are interspersed throughout the question paper with no clear order as to which subject area to start or end with. There is a big difference between the art or language of learning in class and the art of answering questions. A student cannot pass if he or she does not have comprehensive notes. One should read his or her notes several times to recall the knowledge presented. Ensure that you listen to your teacher as much as possible, for he or she is the expert or authority in that field or subject. One cannot answer questions if you do not have an idea or clue of what you have been asked. You cannot generate new knowledge in an exam room that you do not have a clue of. One needs to practice the art of answering questions before one can conclusively say that one is ripe to pass an exam. One needs to tackle or attempt as many different questions as possible, topic-wise, to be ready for any question in any given topic or exam. Do not assume that you know what the examiner needs until you read and understand the question. One question may be rewritten 2 or several times with different action verbs, phrases, or words, and would thus require different methods of answering or giving different answers. However, with a lot of practice, one is able to assess the examiner's mind or requirements for each and every question posed. The teacher gives you 25% of what you need, and you are supposed to search or look for the rest of the 75%. The starting point, which is very crucial, is the 25%. Follow the teacher's guidelines or instructions and then embark on sharpening your answering or examination skills. One should be able to know how to choose between different questions to tackle and which ones to start with for maximum points or marks so as to avoid wasting precious time during exams. Remember, business studies has an element of testing speed with which you can answer questions or think within a given time. One needs to be open-minded when approaching an exam. As much as you can try to predict an exam, a question from past papers can be repeated or be twisted, since the National Examinations Council tests the grasp of the syllabus and not how good one is able to predict or cram questions or exams. It tests content mastery and not cramming or predicting. You should have a look at previous exam papers and sharpen your answering skills or techniques. And every year, there are NEC reports that give an insight as to the examiner's mind or expectations while asking or testing certain content. There are 3 dimensions or domains of learning that education seeks to achieve or bring out from learners. They are the cognitive dimension or domain, which tests mental skills or knowledge. Then there is affective domain, which deals with growth in feelings or emotional development, that is attitude or self. And then there is psychomotor domain, which tests manual or physical skills. The following terms are often and mainly used to form most of the questions in paper 1. State, highlight, name, list, identify, calculate, outline, match, label, recall, define, illustrate, recognize, quote. Most of the questions in paper 2 use the following terms: explain, outline, describe, discuss, interpret, contrast, summarize, restate, paraphrase, predict, solve, illustrate, use, demonstrate, determine, model, perform, present, evaluate, analyze, modify, model, predict, compare, contrast, and many others. Besides the action verbs used in testing, there are other commonly used terms that one needs to pay attention to in order to understand the required responses by an examiner. Among these are advantages, merits, demerits, disadvantages, drawbacks, benefits, implications, impact, importance, challenges, justify, effects, affect, differentiate, circumstances, reasons, cause, influence, features, characteristics, ways, methods, strategies, enhance, facilitate, components, contents, parts, objectives, purpose, goals, factors, significance, role. We have others like responsibilities, tasks, adapt, use, embrace, limitations, assumptions, emerging issues, trends, prefer, accrue, need for, pros and cons, indicators, functions, measures, elements, consequences, principles, rules, guidelines, laws, plot, suffer, account for, suggest, recommend, enumerate, relates, obstacles, bottlenecks, hindrances, classification, categories, errors, motives, services rendered, fill in, levels, adverse, ethics, and so on. The don'ts in exams: avoid procrastinating complex, difficult, and challenging tasks. Clear them as early as possible. They then help you to understand lesser complex, lesser difficult, and less challenging tasks, for they helps you to open up your brain easily. However, do not force yourself to attempt a challenging question at the expense of a simpler question or simpler questions. Avoid giving vague and general answers, for they give an impression that you do not know what you are saying or you are just doing guesswork. Examiners need to be certain that you are well grounded in the subject or content you are presenting. Avoid incomplete answers, for that is at best rude. Show that you are capable of finishing the tasks given. Avoid poor grammar and language. It is a sign that you are not serious in your presentation. Communication, and that you can leave your audience to do guesswork. Avoid poor choice of questions to answers. Do not get enticed by the first question to later find that the subsequent questions are challenging and do not have enough content to capably and comprehensively answer them. You will be wasting your precious time trying to jump from one question to the other. Jot down short responses against every question and then decide which questions to tackle. Do not suffer from lack of understanding the examiner's expectations. Align his needs to your needs and expectations by reading widely and tackling as many examples of questions as possible prior to sitting the exam. Note, you cannot give what you do not have, and you cannot excel in what you have no time for or not practiced. Do not go ahead to attempt a calculations questions before writing the formula first. Every concept must have an origin or point of reference. In the diagrams questions, remember the diagram is the main answer. Do it as best and as well as possible, and remember to give short explanations of the concept being presented in or by the diagrams to harvest full marks. Accounting figures or diagrams must have the correct titles and columns or details for you to earn any marks. No examiner will mark any figure if its title and details or columns are wrong, for you must be able to present accounting data or information using the correct method or way or figure. Read the keywords in a question, for they will give you the direction or the idea about the expected answers or responses. Remember, you may have the content but applying it in answering the wrong question. It serves to waste your time and energy. Avoid vague or general responses. For example, factors influencing location of an industry. Presence of infrastructure is right but too general, and locks out other possible and separate answers like presence of roads, presence of power, presence of water, etc. that are part of that infrastructure. Avoid rubric. These are excess or detailed answers that one gives even after having been guided as to the expected number of answers or responses in a certain question. Double-barreled answers results from giving two or more answers that are conflicting for the same question. Outrageous answers results from giving answers that are way out of the mark due to misunderstanding the question or writing errors. For example, when required to give responses as to the factors that caused Maji Maji rebellion, a student wrote, "Rapid rape of Goni women by colonialists." After another response or answer, "Rapid repossession of land by colonialists." It was a typo error, but it was outrageous and thus deemed a wrong answer or response. Avoid poor and illegible handwriting. No one can guess or attempt to guess what message you wanted to convey if your writing is poor. Practice writing clearly and avoid behaving like an artist by carving letters the way you were not trained just to be artistic. The do's in diagrams. The diagrams in business studies are the main answer. However, one cannot earn full marks without short explanations of what the diagram entails or represents. Label the diagrams with all the necessary details as much as possible. A diagram must not necessarily be enclosed in a frame as in some subjects. It is just a sketch. Avoid unnecessary details that won't help to explain the diagram or the concept being tested. Use a pencil to draw or sketch a diagram, for it is easy to erase and redo without being untidy. All diagrams must have an appropriate title. Nothing in this world doesn't have a name, even if you do not know the name. The do's in diagrams. Arrows are allowed so that one can show the flow of materials, information, items, or pinpoint all the axes must be factual. Clarity is very important in business studies. Writing the wrong title or no title for any diagram renders all the work done useless. All axes must be labeled appropriately and sufficiently in case of graphs. Ensure diagrams are as large as possible for clarity. The characteristics of a successful student. Being attentive to the teacher in class. Do not miss classes since knowledge from your teachers is refined, exact, and precise. He is the expert in the field and has a critical mass of knowledge about the subject. He helps the learner to simplify concepts that would take you 5 to 10 times reading to grasp them. Ensure you write comprehensive notes in class, for that's the content you need to grasp. Reread your class notes within a day after you have been taught in class. Make short notes, sketches, and illustrations on the same notes book or in a separate book. Do or attempt all assignments and homework given by your teachers. This solidifies your grasp of the content, topic, or subtopic that you are reading. Read supplementary materials, your textbooks, and other work relating to the subtopic before and after the lesson. This opens you up to new knowledge and concepts and assists you to master the content. Consult your teacher or other subject teachers where in doubt or where you need clarification. Other teachers in the school and outside can give you another angle insight into the subject. Gather as many past papers as possible, both internal and external. Write all the possible questions in the topic or subtopic and attempt them. Where in doubt, consult your teachers and those students who are good in the subject or the topic. Join discussion groups with those well-versed in the subject. Ensure you benefit each other. Seek assistance from your school administration where you need help. Consult professionals in the field and parents where possible or necessary. Above all, consult God in everything. There is peace, knowledge, and wisdom